Today, I want to show how dungeon level editing fits into our procedural generation workflow. Procedural generation helps us create a first version of a space quickly. The editor lets game masters take the generated space and shape it into something playable. So the goal is simple: generate the starting point quickly, then give game masters control and time to intentionally shape the final result. Here you can see one of the generated outdoor areas. This is our procedural generation system creating larger world spaces, like clearings, outdoor layouts, and eventually cities. For game masters, this means they do not need to start from an empty map every time. They can begin with a space that already has structure, then spend their time and creativity tailoring the details to bring the adventure to life. Now I'm switching into the dungeon level editor. A dungeon level is made of rooms and corridors. The editor lets us see, select, and reshape those parts of the level directly. For game masters, this makes the dungeon easier to understand and edit. Instead of working with disconnected pieces, they can see how the whole level fits together and quickly adjust the flow of the space. The outlines show the structure of the dungeon level. They help us see what we are hovering over or selecting, whether it is a room or a network of corridors. Game masters can immediately understand which part of the dungeon they are working on and how it connects to the rest of the level. Each room and corridor is built from spline segments. These splines define the shape of the walkable area. From those shapes, we generate the floors and place wall meshes around the boundaries. For game masters, this means they can edit the gameplay space and get immediate visual feedback. When they move a point, the room and corridor updates with it. Here I am drawing and adjusting the usable area of a room. As I place and move points, the editor updates the walkable region. This gives game masters direct control over how the room plays. Game masters can make a room wider, tighten a path, reshape a corner, or adjust the layout until it fits the encounter they want to run. Corridors connect the rooms together. They define how players move through the dungeon level. For game masters, corridor editing is about controlling pacing and flow. They can decide how direct and winding the path should be, or how the player moves from one important space to the next. The editor also supports undo and redo. So if you change your mind or make a mistake, Ctrl-Z brings you right back. This allows for fun and safer experimentation. Game masters can try new layouts without worrying that one bad edit will ruin the dungeon. The dungeon level is not just data. The editor uses the spline shapes to generate floor meshes and place wall meshes. Game masters do not need to manually place every floor or wall piece. The editor handles that from the layout. The important part is the connection between generation and editing. Procedural generation creates the first version of a space. The editor lets the game master intentionally refine it. For game master, this means less repetitive setup and more time making the dungeon interesting. Next, we are continuing work on the corridor editor. After that, we want to start populating these spaces with props like torches, tables, doors, and decorations. The final editor would not only help shape the dungeon layout, but it also will help bring the space to life. This tool is built to support each game master's unique vision and storytelling. Procedural generation gives game masters a strong starting point and removes the slowest part of building a first version of a dungeon. The editor gives game masters control and fine-tuning of a final space. Together, they make it faster and easier to create dungeon spaces that are playable, editable, and a great place to let the adventure unfold.